Spacey Sims, and we're back with more Cinderella Phenomenon. Evermore! We didn't say that in, like, the last part or two. It was just, like, Cinderella Phenomenon. Anyway. But we are continuing Rod's route. We're in, like, the middle of chapter 2, like, toward the beginning? I don't know, anyway. So we're just gonna keep going and see where we get, so. Father's seated on his throne when I enter. Rod stands before him.
Good morning, Spacey.
Good morning, Father. I approach warily.
I called you here for an important announcement. Rod, would you like to do the honors?
I'm surprised by the glowing smile on Rod's face. I've officially asked permission from His Majesty to court you, Spacey. I stare between the two of them with wide eyes. When did this happen? Last night.
You were already asleep, so we thought it best to wait until morning to tell you.
I turn my baffled gaze to Rod, who's still smiling. I thought about what you said. I agree. It's time we stop hiding. There's no reason for it anymore. I move before I can think. In a heartbeat, I have my arms wrapped around Rod's waist and my head on his shoulder. It feels as if a momentous weight has suddenly been lifted from my shoulders. There'll be no more hiding, which means I no longer have to hide my affection for him. News of our courtship spread like wildfire. I'm accustomed to gossip and unfazed by the attention, but I can tell Rod is unnerved by this sudden spotlight. Still, we both do our best to continue our daily routines. I do notice, however, that Rod has become busier in recent days. He tells me he's been meeting with Father about important matters. I figure it's about the upcoming ball. Preparing him to be king. I've just finished my dance lessons for the day. Though Rod's meeting with Father in the throne room, I've no such obligations and decide to return to my room to read up on potion making, I'm passing by the dining hall when I pause, hearing voices inside. And because he was so embarrassed, he ended up running away. I hear laughter. That definitely sounds like Rod. I don't know whose voices. Those voices. I push open the door to the hall. I don't know the voices, so. Okay, it was these two. Ophelia and Emmeline look up when I enter. I'm shocked to see Sebi there too, sitting on Emmeline's shoulder. Before, Rod and Sebi were inseparable, but ever since Rod returned, I've barely seen them together. I wonder why. Oh, whoops. Oh, hello, Spacey. Perfect timing! We're just talking about... Emmeline cups her hand to her mouth, casts a surreptitious... The music just stopped suddenly, and I was like, the fuck just happened? It was really weird. That's why I just went dead silent. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, did I break my eye? Like, anyway, casts a surreptitious look over my shoulder and then whispers, Rod? Obviously. Ophelia beckons me over to the table, then turns back to Sebi. So, what happened after that?
He refused to step out of his room the whole day. When others asked after him, he feigned sickness.
Emmeline sighs. Sebi has a different voice every single time. I feel like we should give him a different fucking weird accent every single time he talks. Because, like, it's different every time, but whatever. Why didn't he just refuse the gifts?
Probably because most of them are from noblewomen, and refusing outright would have been insulting.
What's this about gifts and noblewomen?
Oh, I was just telling everyone how popular Rod is with Brogantian noblewomen. He was sent various gifts from young women on Heart's Day, but because he didn't want to refuse them, he avoided everyone altogether by staying in his room. I didn't realize I'm glaring until Ophelia places a hand on my arm. Spacey. I forced the scowl from my face immediately, not even sure why it was there in the first place. You don't need to worry, Princess. He told them he was in love with someone else.
I could feel my face heat at his words. Aw, you're blushing. I am not.
I promised to look after Rod, and I intend to keep that promise. Oh, that goes for you too, Princess. If I have to drive away 100 women, I'll do it.
It won't be kind of hard when they see, like, a dude walking around with a stuffed bunny with him all the time that he talks to. Even if they don't hear you talking, they're going to be like, he's talking to a stuffed animal. Look, everybody has plushies, and that's fine, but it's the carrying them around with you and, like, talking to them and, like... And I don't mean, like, you taking it, like, look, I take funny pictures with my bunny. We have a sock monster in my family that we take drunk pictures with. That's different. I'm not trying to attract someone. Just saying. Because I don't think that would help. It might. but it might be a little off-putting at first. All I'm saying. The thought of a tiny plush bunny attempting to scare off a gaggle of girls makes me laugh. Before I know it, I become absorbed in the conversation. Hours later, when our conversation winds down, I make my way back to my room to read my potions book.
Silly chicken. It's my little chicken nugget booty. I just want to pet you. Why you run away from me? Why won't you let me pet you? He's so cute. I just want to pet him.
Today, I'm going to the Marchen for one of my magic lessons. Or at least, that was my plan. Just yesterday, however, I received a letter from Parfait saying there was a change in plans. Everyone at the Marchen has decided to throw a small celebration for Rod and me. At first, Rod seemed reluctant to go, but he couldn't refuse after Parfait personally requested his presence. In the end, the two of us agree to go by carriage. Rod's already standing by the carriage when I arrive. I smile when our eyes meet, but Rod only nods, his mind seemingly elsewhere. I immediately notice the dark circles under his eyes. Everything all right? I'm fine. I just didn't get much sleep last night. I was up reading the King's books far past midnight. King's books? I found out only a few days ago that Father started lending Rod specific study materials. Apparently these books are meant to teach Rod more about the policies and rules governing our kingdom. I hope you're not overworking yourself. Rod smiles. It's a tired, but thankfully reassuring smile. I'm not. He holds out a hand and helps me into the carriage. No sooner have we entered the town than some of the townsfolk, noticing the royal carriage, begin to wave at us. The response is uplifting. Before, the masses avoided me. Now, things are different. Things first began to change when I made a public apology after breaking my curse. Townsfolk were at first skeptical of whether or not I'd follow in my mother's footsteps as the Tenebrarum bearer, but their trust began to grow when I started dispelling fairy tale curses.
Princess!
I look out the window and see a little boy running to keep pace with the carriage.
Can I give you something? A gift? Please?
I order the carriage to stop and step out. The boy flashes a toothy grin. Then without any preamble, he holds out a lily, punches her in the face and runs away.
I got this for you, Princess!
I take the flower from him with a gentle smile. Thank you. The boy clasps his hand behind his back and smiles shyly.
Someday, I'll become a prince and marry you!
I'm simultaneously bemused and taken aback by the confession. I appreciate your gift, but I'm afraid I'm already courting a prince. I gesture at Rod, who stands between me and the carriage. The boy blinks.
But he's not a real prince, right?
Oh, we're supposed to say you're right. Oh. I kneel down in front of the boy so we can see eye to eye. But you don't need to be a prince to marry a princess.
Really?
Ophelia's words come to mind. One's title should not be a hindrance when it comes to love, she once said. Everyone is free to love whomever they want. The boy looks between the two of us. His bright smile returns.
That must mean Sir Rod loves you very much!
I glance at Rod, whose cheeks have reddened to a soft crimson. With all my heart. The words come out a low mumble, and only the boy and I can hear them. Still, they make my heart flutter. I give the boy a heartfelt thanks before stepping back into the carriage. With all your heart, Rod crosses his arms and turns his head away, but there's no hiding the flush in his cheeks. You already know that. Of course I do, but you're not the type to boldly declare your love in front of others. I wouldn't say I did it boldly. Rod's voice is an embarrassed mumble. I cross my arms, thoughtful. I confess, I was a little taken aback by his comment. Regardless of where his curiosity came from, the boy was right. I'm not a prince. Why is that a problem? You yourself didn't wish to remain a prince. I know that. He smiles weakly before turning his attention back to view the outside window. Back to the view outside the window. Something definitely seems off about him. Princess Spacey! Rod! Welcome! Anise is the first to welcome us when we arrive at the Marchen. No sooner have we stepped inside, however, than another person makes himself known. If it isn't everyone's favorite princess! I don't know who it is. It's supposed to be... Oh. If it isn't everyone's favorite princess. We got a different voice for him, but it's fun to be a little dramatic with him in other people's routes. Chevalier's smile is sunny as always. He steps forward and sweeps in a courteous bow. It's been a while, Princess Spacey. Because I can't do that whole thing through his route, but it's fun to be dramatic when we're not him, so. That it has. Hello, Chevalier. Ever since Chevalier's curse was broken, he's been working at his clinic. Gone is the tenacious flirt I used to know. In his place is an optimistic doctor, but I like the tenacious flirt. Who still makes ill-timed jokes. Soon we're surrounded by people. Rod stands awkwardly in the center of the room, surrounded by Chevalier, Anise, Delora, and Parfait. Walt is seated away from the commotion, leaning on an armrest with a grin on his face. Parfait's cousin, Cinna, is seated by the window reading a book. He's not greeted either of us. Maybe this is just my imagination, but... Delora raises an eyebrow. Her Royal Highness is looking particularly buoyant today. And are your cheeks red? What?
Delora, you shouldn't tease Spacey so much.
Parfait beams.
Being able to flaunt one's love is always a thing to celebrate.
Delora looks at me and snorts. Who are you and what have you done with the princess? I still can't believe you fell in love. I bristle at the words. It's not as if this is news. And anyway, what's that supposed to mean, Delora? Sorry, Princess. You're just too much fun to tease. But in all seriousness, I'm glad you found someone just as stubborn as you to cherish. I'm standing right here. Delora turns her grin to Rod. You must have some magic of your own being able to melt the Ice Princess's heart.
Come now, Delora, you're embarrassing them.
And they make it far too easy, Parfait. Rod turns away with a grumble, arms crossed. Chevalier breaks them a momentary silence with an easygoing laugh. It really is a pleasure to see you again, Sir Rod. I haven't seen you since you left for Brigantia that first time. I believe the last time you were... He pauses, considering. Well, you were much shorter, but now look at you. You're almost as tall as the rest of us. He reaches out as if to set a hand on Rod's head, but Rod pulls away with a grimace. Don't ruffle his hair. I'm not 12. Will you look at still? What do you mean, almost as tall? Waltz pointedly clears his throat and steps between Rod and Chevalier. So, how are things at the palace lately? Rod's expression softens. I can tell he's relieved by the change in subject. They're all right. Busier than normal, but that's to be expected with the news. Chevalier steps forward and squints at us in turn. What? There are dark circles under your eyes. Have you been under more stress lately? Rod raises an eyebrow. It's rude to impede on someone else's space. My apologies. Chevalier takes a step back. And I'm fine. Though Chevalier is quiet, I can tell by the wrinkles between his eyebrows that he's unconvinced. Before he can say anything else, I decide to offer my own opinion. He's doing well. He's just been busy is all. He's working as a dance instructor and taking lessons with the king. Your concern is unwarranted and unnecessary. Chevalier smiles. Sorry, I am, by nature, a worrier.
It's true, Chevalier takes his work seriously.
A little too seriously, in my opinion. Lady Delora, I'm only trying to keep my patients healthy. He shakes his head. Anyway, I'm relieved I'm just overthinking this. I lean closer to Rod and whisper in his ear as the conversation carries on. You're not allowed to overwork yourself. Understood? Rod sighs. Understood. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Somewhere nearby, a book snaps shut. Must all of you be so loud? We get to see Cinnamon! I was like, do we get to meet him? I don't remember him at all from the other... I don't know if he was in the other game, but... Cinna approaches, book tucked under his arm. He is adorable! Look at his little bitch face! Aww.
I swear, a person can't read in peace in this place.
He stalks out of the room with a glare affixed to his face. There's silence for a few moments when he leaves. Then Chevalier laughs.
The tiny lord is lively as ever.
Tiny Lord? Why does he come up with the strangest nicknames? I guess that's one way of describing him.
He may seem temperamental, but I assure you, Cinnamon is quite pleasant once you get to know him.
I glance at Rod. Seems like a certain someone I know. Rod says nothing. Even as I watch, he stifles a yawn. His eyes look glassy. Oh, he said yawn, and now I need to yawn. Choked it back. Fine. I cannot see people yawn here, read the word yawn, or have to fake yawn because it makes me yawn. Ugh. Exactly how many hours of sleep did you get last night? An hour or two? Rod, you're definitely pushing yourself too hard. Chevalier's right. You should take better care of yourself. I know you. You always push yourself. Rod shakes his head. Never mind. It's nothing. What? I know there's something on your mind, Rod. Rod responds with a smile. When I continue to scowl at him, he plants a kiss on my forehead. I swear it's nothing important. And don't worry, I'll get some rest when we get back to the palace. Fine. Though not all of the old boarders are present today, we decided to make the most of our small reunion. Anise prepares a small meal for dinner, and the gathering is lively.
It's a shame Sir Garland and Lady Jurian couldn't be here, and it's been months since we saw Prince Claude.
The knights wanted me to apologize on their behalf. They've been busy training new recruits. And the last time Claude wrote, he said he was busy with his duties. I doubt he'll be free anytime soon.
I'm glad he still sends us letters every so often. I do rather miss having Miss Karma around.
Don't we all? I do too. I'm glad he's not in this because it'd be so hard after seeing him and being in love with him and then coming here and being like, I miss you so much. Because I love him. Chevalier groans. Speak for yourself. Miss Karma was always staring daggers at me. With good reason. Lady Delora! Parfait laughs.
I'm sure we'll get the chance to have a bigger reunion soon.
The conversation goes on, but I notice one person has remained quiet throughout. Ron hasn't spoken a word since we started eating. He's sleeping. Is it because he's tired? Stressed? Or is there something else on his mind? I hope I can get to the root of whatever it is soon. He's preparing to marry you. No more secrets. When we returned to the palace last night, Rod immediately retired to bed. I was up all night thinking about him and how strange he's been acting. I'm resolved to pry some answers from him today, which is why I'm standing outside the throne room, waiting for him to finish his lessons with Emmeline. My heart sinks when Emmeline exits with a gloomy expression on her face.
Did something happen? Rod looks exhausted.
That's what I intend to find out.
Whatever it is, I'm sure he'll figure it out.
I hope so. Emmeline gives me a confident pat on the shoulder as I enter. Inside, Rod is standing by the window, his back to me. Rod? When he turns to face me, he looks downtrodden. It's enough to make my heart sink. Oh, Spacey. May I speak with you? There's a long pause before he nods. I said this yesterday as well, but you didn't seem well when we were having lunch at the Marchen. Are you all right? I'm fine. You keep saying that, and I know it's not the truth. Do you trust me so little? Rod's expression shudders. Never. I trust you with my life, Spacey. Then why won't you talk to me? I move closer, close enough to examine his face. The dark circles are still there, and I can tell from his rigid posture that he's tense. Were you up again? Were you up again last night? I thought you said you were going to rest early. I did go to bed early, but falling asleep is another thing entirely. Well, what kept you awake? I have a lot on my mind. Is there anything I can do to help? Rod shakes his head. Thank you for worrying about me, Spacey, but this is something I need to sort out myself. It's not that I don't trust you, I just don't have the right words yet. You need to stop pushing yourself, Rod. We all have our limits. Rod stiffens. I know that, but I didn't sacrifice everything just to hit a wall like this. He offers a feeble smile. You know what? You're right. Maybe rest will do me some good. I'll see you later, Spacey. He heads for the doors, shoulders slouched beneath some invisible weight as he exits. Sudden solitude falls on my shoulders like a cold blanket. I wish suddenly with all my heart that he had never made that wish. Rod seems to only become more frazzled over the next couple of days, but no improvements in his condition. He tells me that his exhaustion stems from the stress he's under to meet everyone else's expectations, and that he just needs to become accustomed to them. But he says that every day and there's still no change. This can't go on. I'm worried about his health. I force myself to stop pacing. If he's not worried about himself, then perhaps I ought to make this about me. I can tell him that my worry for him makes it impossible for me to focus on anything. I nod to myself and, my mind made up, walk out of the room to find Rod. I ask around the palace, but though my search is extensive, Rod's nowhere to be found. Where is he? I'm just about to turn a bend in the corridor when Emmeline suddenly appears.
Oh, Spacey!
Emmeline?
I heard you've been asking around about Rod.
Yes, do you know where he is? Emmeline crosses her arms and regards me thoughtfully.
I do. Let's talk in private.
Talk in private? Why? I concede, regardless of my confusion. We can speak in my room. I'll order some tea to be delivered. On my command, the maids prepare and serve us biscuits and tea. I dismiss them once they've set everything on the table, and turn to Emmeline expectantly. So, why are we having a private discussion?
Well, it's about Rod, but I'm sure you knew that. And don't tell him I told you anything, okay?
I won't tell, I promise. Emmeline smiles, looking a little defeated.
He's in the forest today, and he'll be there until sunset.
The forest? What's he doing there?
Well...
Emmeline's eyes flit to the biscuits on her plate. She fidgets, looking uncertain. You can eat the fucking biscuits, Emmeline. God, just tell me. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to tell me. I'll find out myself.
Sorry.
Do you at least have some idea why he's acting so strange? Rod says he trusts me, but I assume there are some things he feels more comfortable telling Emmeline. They are siblings, after all. Emmeline hesitates a moment before answering.
I do, but not because he willingly told me about it.
Emmeline sips absently at her tea.
You know how Rod is. He can be so secretive when it comes to his own matters.
This is a severe understatement.
I'm sorry for not saying anything. I don't want to put myself between the two of you. I know this is a personal matter.
So why are you telling me where I can find Rod now?
I've seen his exhaustion, same as you, and I'm worried about him. He won't listen to me, so I'm hoping he'll listen to you.
Does Ophelia know?
Yes and no. Mother knows he's stressed, but I doubt she knows how much he's been pushing himself.
I sigh as I set down my cup. Thank you for telling me this, Emmeline. Emmeline smiles.
Good luck, Spacey.
After Emmeline excuses herself, I head out to search for Rod in the forest. I hear the familiar, but no less shocking, ring of metal against metal as I enter the forest. It's the sound of a battle. Sparring knights, perhaps? Why would they be practicing in the forest, Rod? There are knights surrounding the perimeter of this forest, so I know that whoever is fighting has permission and reason to be here, but I can't imagine what it is. I quietly weave my way through the trees, only stopping when I spot two men sparring at a distance. Quickly, I duck behind a tree. I stare wide-eyed at the sight before me. Again. Are you sure? Maybe it would be best to take a breather. What is happening here? Rod told me before that his swordsmanship is terrible, so I'm perplexed to see him standing before Garland with a sword, sweat dampening his forehead. Yeah, his swordsmanship is terrible, but he's trying to be a better swordsman for you. Aww. I insist. Rod just barely manages to block Garland's strike as he swings it again at him. The force of the hit makes Rod stumble, and he trips and falls. Sir Rod, are you alright? I'm fine. Rod grasps Garland's hand and gets back to his feet with a groan. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have put so much power behind that last strike. You don't have to apologize. I was the one who didn't react the right way. It would have been funnier if he was fighting Jurian. She was kicking his ass. Rod wipes his forehead with the back of his hand. Let's do it again, one more time. Despite his clear exhaustion, Rod's eyes are filled with determination. These look like lessons, but why did he not tell me about them? Why is he taking them in the first place? He's trying to be worthy to marry you. Oh my god, girl! Ding ding, clue it in! God damn it, girl! There is a board game where you try to solve a mystery and like Professor Plum and the get a clue, girl, get a clue. It wouldn't be as fun if she was like suspicious of it, because like, you know what I mean? That would be like, you're like, oh, he's totally getting ready to marry. I gotta know, and then he asked you to marry him. You're like, yeah, I knew. It's not as fun. Like he set up this whole thing, and so when it happens, you're gonna be like, oh, what? It's better for her to be shocked, but it's just fun to be like, get a clue. Oh, anyway. And most importantly, why must all of this remain a secret? Spacey, I know you're unsatisfied right now, but trust me, I've learned from my mistakes. From here on out, we face our problems together. And yet, here he is keeping this a secret from me. We interrupt the fight. I step out of my hiding spot and slowly walk toward the dueling pair. So this is where you've been. Rod jumps. Garland immediately falls to one knee, looking flustered. He's like, fuck! And it's like, it's not your fault, Garland. Your Highness. Hello, Garland. I'd like to talk with Rod alone. Garland rises to his feet and nods. Of course, Your Highness. Once Garland is gone, I turn to look at Rod expectantly. What's happening here? How did you find me? Answer my question. Em told you where I was, didn't she? It doesn't matter how I found out. Answer the question, Rod. Why do you continue to keep me in the dark? I want to help you. Rod shakes his head. I know. You want to help me and I don't want you to worry, but Spacey, this is something I can't accept your help with. Rod, please. I know I'm worrying you, which is why I keep telling you not to worry about me. I'm not keeping secrets that will hurt you, I promise. In the long run, this will be better for both of us. I'd find that more convincing coming from someone who doesn't look like he's running himself dry. Rod sighs. I know I have no right to keep asking you to be so patient, but please, I only need a little more time. I think back to our conversation in the throne room. Is this about needing time to find the right words? You could say that. Rod has always spoken more clearly through his actions than his words. I've been patient all this time. I suppose I can continue to be so, but I'll not allow you to keep your secrets forever, Rod. I hope you know that. It's not forever. In fact, not for much longer at all. He's totally going to propose at the ball. I'm just saying. Soon everything will make sense, and when I explain everything, you can scream at me all you like. Fine, I'll see you later then. I only have the energy to muster a weak smile before turning and heading back to the palace. I haven't spoken to Rod since yesterday. We met briefly for breakfast, but he left soon after, saying he had to catch up on some important reading. Can't help but be disheartened. Ever since our courtship was made public, Rod's been even busier than before. Why is he overworking himself so suddenly? I chose to trust him, and yet I'm still anxious. Spacey, focus. Dolores' words jolt me from my musings. Sorry. Today, Dolores is teaching me fire magic. I only learned how to use ice and electricity so far. Since this is our first lesson, Dolores assigned me reading before we actually start practicing. I'm doing my best to concentrate on the words, but my mind constantly drifts to Rod. Dolores flicks my forehead. I flinch and glare up at her. What was that for? And do you even understand what you're reading? Of course. Really? Because you've been staring at the same page for an hour and a half. Oh, for a half an hour. Wow. Flip those. Makes a big difference, huh? What? I glance at the book and I'm horrified to see I'm still on the same page. Let me guess. You have a certain grumpy boy on your mind? Hey, no ice in the classroom. I pull back from the table when I realize there's frost creeping up the edges. I close my eyes and take a few deep breaths to calm myself. When I open them again, the frost is gone. That bad, huh? He's keeping secrets. This sounds like a pride thing. Pride? Dolores grins. Rod has always been prideful, hasn't he? She sighs. Men, and they can be so difficult. You sound as if you speak from experience. Laura's like, girl. Believe it or not, I did have a husband once, and then I turned him into a fucking frog. What happened to him? In a potion. Ew. Her expression dampens. And a daughter. You did? We kind of knew. Wait, didn't they mention her daughter once? I kind of feel like when them reading that, it's like, wait, do I remember hearing that before? Maybe it was in a different route. Years ago, my husband was a human. He died many years ago. My little Lorea? She shakes her head. Her voice is whisper thin when she continues. Let's just say the both of them are in a better place now. I never knew Delora had a family. Delora, I'm so sorry. Unexpectedly, Delora flicks my forehead again. What did I do? I'd rather see you annoyed than sad. Melancholy doesn't suit you, princess. Anyway, enough about me. We were talking about your relationship. She crosses her arms. Personally, I don't think it's worth worrying yourself over this. If Rod's so stubborn, let him stress himself out. But I worry about him pushing himself to the brink. Dolores snorts. Take it from me, and there's only so much stress a body can handle before it shuts down. If Rod needs the rest, he'll have no choice but to succumb to his exhaustion. That sounds awfully ominous. Dolores shrugs. You've fallen asleep during your lessons plenty of time because you've overworked yourself. I swear, you two really are the same. Delora grins. Anyway, all relationships have their obstacles. You'll get past this. I turn back to my book with a groan, but though I try my best to resume studying, it's useless. My thoughts are much too scattered. In the end, Delora leaves early, telling me she'll return when I'm in a better headspace. Delora's words calm my nerves some, but my agitation still builds throughout the night. I glance at the faint sparks on my fingertips. I have to close my eyes and breathe to get them to disappear. An idea crosses my mind as I'm concentrating. Delora helped dispel some of my worries, if only temporarily. Perhaps it would help to speak to someone else about this, someone who knows Rod better than me. I find Ophelia in the dining hall, seated in front of two maids holding up cloth samples. Good evening, Ophelia. Her expression brightens when she sees me. Oh, lovely. I could really use your help, dear. She gestures to the samples. God damn it, Google, fuck off. Which color should we use for the ball? A white with gold trim or velvet with blue? Velvet isn't a fucking color, it's a fabric. White with gold trimmings or velvet? Velvet? What color velvet? Velvet is a fabric, not a color. Oh my god, I don't know why that annoys me, but it does. My eyes immediately settle on the white. The material is brighter, more eye-catching. White. Oh, white with gold trimmings it is! The maids bow before leaving the room, especially because I don't know what color velvet is! Like, my couch is velvet. Okay? It's not, that's not the color. Do you know what color my couch? No! You know what it feels like, though. It's a sexy, sexy velvet. I love it. I love the feel of my couch and how easy it is to clean, but it's so fucking uncomfortable. It needs better cushions. They put shit cushions in it, but anyway. And now that that's done with, I need to make sure there are enough lilies for the festivities. Right. I keep forgetting the ball is in 2 weeks. Oh my god, we have to wait 2 weeks? Ophelia looks up. I'm assuming you didn't come here to help me plan. What can I do for you, Spacey? She gestures to the chair in front of her and I sit with a sigh. It's about Rod. Let me guess. Secrets? I blink. So you know. I'm his mother. I always know. Do you know he's actually opened up in recent years? He used to be much quieter. Yeah, he used to have a puppet talk for him. It's at times like this that I recall the kind person he was when he was cursed. Even then, he was keeping secrets. Dangerous secrets from me. The kind of person, not the kind person. Kind of. Dangerous secrets. He's always talked down He's always talked down his own discomfort to put those he loves first. Ophelia laughs. I know it still seems like he's a closed book, but this is the way he's been for a long time. He's always been fiercely independent and so determined he'll take on burdens without any thought to how his well-being will impact others. You often have to read in between the lines with him to figure out how he's feeling. Maybe I need more practice in reading him then, because right now I'm frustrated I can't get him to open up to me. Ophelia grasps my hand and gives it a gentle squeeze. Rod never keeps secrets that would harm those he loves. He has no qualms about keeping secrets that harm him. Besides, he promised not to keep secrets anymore. Ophelia shakes her head. Perhaps he thinks he's keeping his promise. Maybe he feels this secret is different from the rest. I understand your frustration, Spacey, but I believe if anyone can convince him to speak about things, it's you. I've tried multiple times. I think you underestimate yourself, and the old Rod would never have told anyone about his wish, but he told you because he wants all of us, to trust him. Have you tried telling him how this is making you feel? We all know Rod can be self-absorbed when he's trying to do the right thing. I've told him I'm worried about him. But what about you? How do you feel? I pause. Back when I was searching for Rod, I resolved to frame this issue around me rather than him, but I've not thought about my feelings, only my concern for him. Relationships are give and take, Spacey. And thinking about how this impacts you isn't selfish. It's a necessary conversation. It's as if she reads the thoughts right from my mind. Then I'll try again. Thank you, Ophelia. Of course, you know I'm always here for you, Spacey. Everything will be resolved soon. You'll see. I hope so. The next day, I'm on my way to my room for magic lessons with Delora when I see familiar faces approaching from the other side of the corridor. Honestly, I feel like I hear a new piece of gossip every hour. Isn't that the way it's always been right before a ball? All anyone whispers about are secret courtships. It's ridiculous. Garland laughs. He's like, haha, like ours? Well, the nobles need something to talk about. Oh. He smiles when he notices me walking towards them. The two knights bow. Greetings, Your Highness. Good morning, Your Highness. Jurian and Garland, once distrusted by the knights, regained their titles years ago. Or rather, they were promoted. Jurian's now the High Commander of the Order of Caldera, the first woman to ever receive the title. It wasn't long before she made Garland her second in command. I love this. I love this game as like, they're two knights? Cool, there's a lady knight, first of all. Thumbs up for that. And they're like, totally in love. Oh my god, I love it. And she outranks him. Oh my god, it's even better. Girl power. You're like, yes! But she's not like, haha, I outrank you. She's like, no, I can't do it without Garland. He's like, literally my right hand, like, in rank and just because I love him so much. It's adorable. And he's not like, what? Fucking better than this bitch. He doesn't have that toxic masculinity. He's like, yeah, no, she fucking deserves it. This bitch kicks ass. I love it so much. We're sorry we couldn't accept the Marchen invitation. We were looking forward to it, but that day just so happens to be the first day of training for the new recruits. Jurian was annoyed and he smiles. Well, suffice it to say that she made the new recruits work extra hard. Jurian huffs out a sigh. You know that's not the reason I pushed them so hard. It's an effort to keep my lips from curling into a smile when I see the flesh in Jurian's cheeks. Garland coughs. Anyway, next time we'll definitely come by and visit. I'm sure everyone would love that. It seems we've been busy every day for... She considers... For forever, actually. Have you at least had enough time off to treat yourself to some nights out? Jurian mumbles something beneath her breath as Garland blushes. She's like, we don't go out much when we... But you don't have nights off. No, we have nights off. We just don't go out. We're doing other robust activities. This time, I can't help my smile. I found out the two of them were courting each other about a year ago. I was out on a midnight stroll when I saw them walking through the gardens hand in hand. I'm just so glad that they're courting in every route. Like, I love it so much. It's the best part. It still gets me. You're like, good, they're courting. Okay, I'm not over it. Well... He glances at Jurian, who looks moments away from bolting down the corridor. No need for details. I just want to make sure you two were doing well. We couldn't be doing better, right, Lan? Some extra free time would be nice, but I'll take what we have. We'll be sure to make the next dinner, Princess. I look forward to it. As will we. They excuse themselves and I head off to my room. I'm just happy to know they're doing okay. Sad that Fritz is fucking missing. But or dead. I've just pulled down one of the study books from my shelf when a voice causes me to jump in surprise. Princess! The books fall from my hands as I whirl toward my bedside table, where Sebi is, for some reason, sitting. Sebi? How did you get there? Or how'd you get here? I leaned down to pick up the book.
I asked Emmeline to leave me here. She was going to wait around too, but she ended up having to leave early for her lessons.
His voice is different every single time. Look, I'm trying, okay?
We're sorry for barging into your room without permission.
Why are you in my room in the first place?
I'm here about Rod, of course. He's making a mess of things as usual, so I came to clear things up.
I raise an eyebrow as I seat myself on the bed. I wish you could still read his mind for me.
I don't need to be able to read his mind to know what he's thinking. Rod's always been an easy read for me. That's why he doesn't take me around with him now, you know. He knows I can see through him better than anyone else.
Sebi sighs. I really do feel like every scene has a different Sebi voice, but whatever.
It really gets lonely in his room.
I feel a soft twinge in my heart. Perhaps Sebi is good at reading others as well, for he speaks up immediately.
It's okay, though. Emmeline lets me ride around on her shoulder sometimes.
So, Rod won't take you with him because he's worried you'll reveal his secrets?
More or less.
So are you going to give away all of his secrets, then?
No! I promised I wouldn't say anything.
Sebi laughs when I furrow my eyebrows at him.
Rod's bad at this sort of thing. I came to tell you that he's not keeping a secret from you, Princess. He's trying to surprise you.
Surprise?
Still, Emmeline's been telling me that he's really pushing himself.
He is. That's the reason I've been so concerned.
Princess, let me tell you something about Rod. He may seem quiet on the outside, but inside, his mind is so loud. He thinks about so many things all the time. He worries and he stresses and overthinks about everything.
I think we all feel a little bit like Rod right now. I mean, Jesus Christ. I feel like you just described me to a T, Sebi.
Honestly, it's amazing he keeps it all to himself. Back when I could read his mind, I didn't just read his thoughts, though. I saw into his dreams sometimes, too. Old, faded memories that made everything make more sense.
Memories of what?
Let me remember.
Toy is quiet for a few moments. Even though Sebi can't alter his expression, I imagine his face scrunched up with concentration. And then...
Rod's father died of some incurable illness when Rod was only 8. Rod barely remembers him. But you know what he does remember? His father's final words. Take care of your mother and sister for me. He takes that promise seriously. Maybe too seriously. And that's probably part of the reason Rod is the way that he is. Why he's taken on so much responsibility and kept his worries to himself since he was young. He always thinks he needs to be better, no, the best, for his family. And I know he feels the same way about your relationship.
He went from one accent to now he... in this part as I'm listening to myself, I'm like, he sounds like an old man. Whatever.
Accidentally, Sebi's got a different accent every time. I don't know.
But he doesn't need to be that way for me. I already love him the way he is. Sebi sighs.
But Rod doesn't think that way. He holds himself up to higher expectations. He always has. And I think he always will. He wants to be the most mature, most responsible, most dependable person he can possibly be. That's why he works himself so hard. And that's why he sacrifices so much. I tell you more, but Rod will kill me if he finds out I'm in your room.
You've told me enough, Sebi.
Glad to help, Princess. That guy still can't do anything without me.
I laugh. He really is troublesome, isn't he?
Agreed.
Sebi sighs.
Anyway, I should be getting back to Rod's room before he returns. Hopefully Emmeline will be back soon too. Oh, that must be her.
I head over the door. I expect to see Emmeline on the other side, and I'm surprised when I see Rod instead. Rod? Hello. Can we talk? I step to the side, using my body to hide Sebi from view. Let's talk somewhere else. Rod raises an eyebrow. Wait, why not just your room? I'd like a change of scenery. I've been stuck in here studying potions books all day. Rod looks at me quizzically. Then before I can stop him, he leans past my shoulder to peek inside. His eyes widen. Sebi?
Oh, hi, Rod.
Awkward. What are you doing talking to my bunny?
I was using him to talk about my... nothing.
Busted. Sebi was... There's only one reason he'd be here.
I was just trying to fix your mistakes.
Rod sighs deeply. I know. Rod grasps my hands and pulls me away from the door. Let's go. Wait, where are we? I'd rather talk to you without a certain nosy plush in the picture. I don't know why. My brain saw nosy, but my mouth said noisy. Look, I don't know. Without some certain nosy plush in the picture.
How rude. I swear I don't... Well, where are you going?
He didn't really say that. I just threw that in for those of you. Just multitasking. Rod leads me to the throne room, which is empty at this time of day. He closes the doors behind him, then turns to me with a sigh. So, how much did Sebi tell you? Enough, I think. Spacey, I'm sorry. Before I can react, Rod wraps his arms around me from behind. Oh, that's true. I'm like, we haven't gotten this is chapter 3, and here's our third CG. I'm shocked when he rests his chin on my shoulder. Shocked and then relieved. So nice to feel his touch again. I've missed it so much. I missed you, Rod. I missed you too. I shiver at Rod's warm breath against my ear. I spoke to the king today. With father? Yes. I asked him for advice. Oh, how appropriate that I went to Ophelia with the same request today. To my mother? You talked to my mom? What the fuck? Just kidding. What did she say? That I needed to be clearer about my feelings. The king said something similar. He told me I should be more honest. There was no point in secrecy if it led to mistrust. I've been so accustomed to keeping secrets for so long that I think I've forgotten how to tell the truth the right way. Secrets are comfortable. Keeping a secret makes me feel safe. And there are less expectations, less disappointment if you keep things from people. All I want is to make you proud of me. Everything I've done to make your life better, to make our life better. And those things I'm keeping from you, I promise I've never kept them from you because I don't trust you. I just don't want you to worry about me. That's impossible, Rod. I'm realizing that now. The way I've been acting is selfish. The king made me see that. I step out of Rod's embrace so that I can cup his cheek. Not selfish so much as selfless, I think. All you ever think about is how to make things easier for me. You want to think about taking care of yourself, too. You've told me countless times I don't need to prove myself to be worthy of you, but you're not proud of yourself. All this time, it was so simple. I kept telling Rod he was good enough, but that means nothing if Rod doesn't believe in himself. Rod looks at me, surprised. Then he smiles, a sad smile. You're right. It's not just about that. I've always wanted to be the best I could be for you. Because you're... you. He gestures at me. You're gonna be the Queen of Angeal. You're the Tenebrarum bearer. You've worked so hard to be where you are, and it's only fair I match your efforts. I made myself a prince to be worthy of... Viorica? I made myself a prince to be worthy of Viorica. I don't remember... I'm trying to remember his stories, because, like, they kept doing like, oh, he wanted to be a prince, and then that's how he ended up being our stepbrother. But I mean, like, our father was actually in love with Ophelia. You know what I mean? But was there another girl that he was like in love with and she was like, I don't remember his story at all. So anyway, but it didn't matter because I was never who I was meant to be. But he grasped my hand. I wanted to build this reputation for myself. And this time I wanted magic to give me a clean slate, not an advantage. And the secrets? I really did want to surprise you. I don't mind running myself dry if it means improving, especially in the short run. And this is nothing spacey. I wonder if this is the surprise Seppi was referring to, or if there's more to this than secret sword practices. Rod groans. In the end, the way I handled all of this was very childish. I acknowledge that. I think that's the most mature thing you've said all night. Rod flushes, but before he can say anything, I rise to the tips of my toes to plant a kiss on his cheek. I'm sorry, too. I wish we could have had this conversation earlier. But Rod, I hope you know that I am proud of you. You're the hardest working person I've ever met. I didn't fall in love with you for your accomplishments. I fell in love with you because of who you are. My stepbrother. I'm just kidding. Rod lets out a deep breath. He suddenly looks relaxed, at peace. I wrap my arms around him and lean into his chest. Let's try this again. No more secrets? Rod presses a kiss to my forehead. No more secrets. He pauses. But surprises are okay, but you're not allowed to run yourself down to the point of exhaustion. Understood? Rod laughs against my hair. Fair enough. He tilts my chin up and the two of us share another kiss in the quiet of the throne room. Ooh, Chapter 4. Plans for the future. Whoops. Emily and I emerged from Viorica's store. Viorica, yeah. Emmeline and I emerged from Viorica's store after a 2-hour visit. Sebi, who's sitting on Emmeline's shoulder, huffs a sigh as we exit. Finally! I feel like I've had my cheeks pinched for hours! Emmeline laughs. Oh, it's because Viorica's cousins adore you! Sebi grumbles, but I can't help but smile. Viorica's child cousins were in the store today when we came to visit. Viorica's been watching them while their parents are on a vacation. I suspect her cousins were a little easier to distract today because Sebi was with us. Emmeline and I have been trying to take him more places with us lately. You enjoyed the attention, you just don't want to admit it. But my poor cheeks. Definitely has a different voice every time. Would you rather have been stuck in Rod's room? I could swear the plush shudders. I guess the kids aren't that bad. Emmeline pats Sebi's head as we make our way into the town plaza. Back when I was Emmeline's personal maid, I came to the town with her frequently. I didn't like going out then, but now I find these little excursions permissible. Enjoyable, even. Emmeline likes to show me stalls and treat me to her favorite baked goods. So far, my favorite are the candied apples. Emmeline sighs wistfully. I love it when Viorica's cousins come to visit. They're adorable. I'm sure they enjoy your company as much as you enjoy theirs. Don't you find them endearing? I shrug. Children are difficult for me to understand. When I was young, I distrusted most children my age because Mother insisted they were trying to use me. I think they appreciate your honesty. Children usually do. Emmeline gives me a teasing smile. Someday, I think you'll make an excellent mother. I freeze so suddenly I nearly trip over a passing merchant. What? I put a hand in my mouth, horrified that the word comes out so high-pitched. More than a few townsfolk glance at me curiously. What? Did I say something wrong? I reach out to grasp Emmeline's hand with a grumble, pulling her along with me. When I finally pull us out of the crowds, Emmeline is laughing. I failed to see how that was amusing. You're adorable when you're embarrassed. I just said I didn't understand children. Sebi coughs. Rod seems like he'd be mystified by children, too. You don't give Rod enough credit. He's fiercely loyal of those he loves. Emmeline is smiling at me mischievously. I turn away with a sigh. I feel like I've fallen into a trap.
No, please go on. I love it when you and Rod gush about each other.
You think someday they'll have a child to gush over?
Both of you stop talking! The last thing on my mind right now is children. The more I think about it, the more embarrassed I become. Emmeline must tell from my silence that I'm uncomfortable, because she shifts the conversation to herself.
Someday, I'd like to have a family of my own.
I look at her, curious. The last time she was interested in another man, Varg. The masked man was Myth's accomplice. He disappeared after I broke my curse, and we've still been unable to uncover his identity. Aww. You don't know that Varg is Fritz? Varg was Fritz, right? Emmeline was heartbroken. She really seemed to want to get to know Varg better. Since then, she hasn't seemed to connect with anyone else. At least, not so far as I'm aware. I know for a fact you'd be an amazing mother.
Thank you, Spacey. Someday I hope I'll have the opportunity to have a family, but I'm in no rush.
She shakes her head.
Speaking of rushing, you and Rod have taken everything very slowly, haven't you?
What do you mean? Emmeline laughs.
Well, it took you a while to resolve the most recent issue.
You make it sound like we were fighting when the problem was that Rob was being secretive. He's truly a special kind of stubborn. Sebi sighs dramatically.
Welcome to my world, princess. Can you imagine what it was like to listen to an overthinker's thoughts but know he wasn't ever going to speak them aloud? Rod is so overdramatic.
You really do know him best, don't you, Sebi?
Of course.
I think Sebi should be a relationship counselor.
I would be an excellent counselor.
The two of us share another laugh as we turn and head back to the palace. He would, because he can read your thoughts, but also it'd be kind of funny if you're like, we have to go to a counseling session, and there's this little plaid bunny with fucking glasses on. He has to have his glasses.
Well, please, let me get my glasses here, my notepad. Well, I can't actually write. However, it's okay. I remember everything.
Spacey, thanks again for accompanying me today.
It was my pleasure. Emmeline taps Sebi on the head.
Let's go return you to Rod's room, shall we?
Back to the dungeon.
Emmeline laughs.
We'll see you later, Spacey.
Good night, princess.
On my way back to my room, I see Father. He's heading for my door when he stops, noticing me.
Ah, there you are, Spacey. How was today's outing?
I eye him curiously. It's rare for him to seek me out. It was fine. Viorica's child cousins were visiting.
Ah, Emmeline talks at length about how endearing she finds them.
I suppose.
Can you spare a few minutes, Spacey?
My curiosity sharpens to wariness. Of course.
Then, shall we walk?
He offers... I can't do his voice right, I don't know what's happening. Anyway. He offers his arm, and I set my hand in the crook of his elbow. The two of us begin to wander the corridors, which are thankfully quiet at this time of day.
So, I hear you and Rod have resolved things?
Yes, finally. I glance at him. He told me he sought you out for advice. Father smiles. He almost looks relieved.
I'm glad he came to me for advice. I could tell something was amiss.
I'm glad he spoke with you. It seemed to clear things up for him.
It can be extremely difficult to discern one's feelings when it comes to love. It's a complicated thing, and that's why it's so important to self-reflect on your feelings, but also on your loved ones.
Father pauses to look at me.
It's good to see you smiling again, Spacey. I know this long-distance relationship has been difficult for you, but if you ever need advice, I know what it's like to court someone outside of the noble circle.
You and Ophelia are an inspiration. My father laughs.
I could say the same about you and Rod. You've sacrificed much to be here.
I know Rod has, but have I? It's as if Father can read my mind. He reaches out to cut my cheek.
You've come a long, long way, Spacey. More than any of us, I believe. It's no easy thing, learning to trust after being taught to not rely on others.
My father falters.
I'm sorry I couldn't teach you that sooner. Every day I'm grateful you decided to give me another chance to make things right between us.
My heart twinges. I mean, it wasn't entirely your fault. You were manipulated by an evil witch to marry her and impregnate her, and course you'd kind of feel bitter about her and the kid, but like, you could still be angry, but you're not. You know what I mean? Like, you're not taking it out on me. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of difficulties, so this is a nice place for us to be, is all I'm saying. Of course, We both pause at the sound of footsteps. I expect a servant and surprised to see Rod, and am surprised to see Rod instead. He looks just as surprised to see us. Am I interrupting something? Oh, of course not. My father presses a brief kiss to the top of my head. Good night, Spacey. Until next time. Good night, Father. Father dips his head in Rod's direction before walking off. Rod leans down to kiss my cheek as he approaches. How was the outing? It was pleasant. I give him a look. What about your day? You've been resting, I hope? After we had that conversation the other day, Ron and I discussed the necessities of taking breaks. I look him over now, relieved to see the dark circles under his eyes are faded and that, for the first time in a long time, he looks relaxed. I did. Mother tried to convince me to take the whole week off even. She said I ought to treat myself. He sighs. My birthday was one day. I don't need a whole week. What? I stare at him. It occurs to me I've never celebrated Rod's birthday with him. That he's never even mentioned it before. Well, that's gotta suck! We've been dating for 2 years! Oh my god, you have birthdays! Rod looks taken aback. I shouldn't have mentioned it. I never do anything for my birthday. I don't... What do you want? I step toward him. Rod looks unnerved. I don't want anything. Having you is enough. Nonsense! Rod runs a hand through his hair and groans. Oh, I know what you could give him for your birthday on the last minute. He's afraid people will talk. Shut up! Get in the closet. You really don't need to get me anything, Spacey, but... He blushes. I would love any gift you buy me. I wasn't going to buy you a gift. No, I'm just kidding. Anything? I can't get him just anything. I have to make sure this is the best birthday gift he's ever received. I'll come up with something meaningful. I must. Rod coughs awkwardly. Anyway, we were talking about you. How are Viorica and her cousins? It occurs to me that it's been a while since Rod visited her. Sometimes I think about how strange it is that the reason he came to be here in the first place is because he wanted to impress her. So much has changed since then. Oh, wasn't she like in love with someone else? I don't really remember. All of us have found happiness in unexpected places and people. I smile. They were well. Viorica's always so lively when the children are around, and Sebi was very good at distracting them while we all spoke. Rod snorts. Sebi's a good distraction. I look at him, curious. Have you visited her recently? I have, and wouldn't stop pestering me until I did. He glances up at the night sky, and the moon illuminates the melancholy in his eyes. You're right, she is more lively. I'm happy for her and her husband. Unthinkingly, I reach out to grab his hand. After a few moments, Rod leans into me. Because this is awkward, like, have you seen the girl you used to be in love with and you wanted to become a prince for and got cursed for? He's like, yeah, she's lively and so happy. It doesn't change the way I feel about you. It's going to be awkward. Strange, isn't it? How quickly time passes. Viorica's been married for a while now. I can feel his eyes on me. If we married someday, what kind of wedding would you want? Oh my god, are you going to surprise wedding? My cheeks warm at his question. This is the first time he's ever mentioned marriage. I'm pretty sure the proposal is coming soon. Well, something simple. You know I dislike decadent celebrations. Something simple would be nice. Being with you is the most important thing. Rod sighs. It's a relief to hear that. I'd do anything with you, but an elaborate celebration would be... I try to imagine him on some grand stage with a spotlight trained on him. Uncomfortable? To say the least. A wedding is a celebration for two people, not one. I'd never suggest something you'd be uncomfortable with, but... I look at him, curious. Why do you ask? I wanted to know your preference. I've been thinking about the future a lot lately, so... He turns away, cheeks flushed. You're blushing. I'm not! Rod turns his attention skyward again, a soft smile on his face. And this may be strange to say, but I'm really glad I was cursed. Strange to think I wouldn't know you otherwise. Rod steps back and tilts my chin up. I look into his eyes, so bright in the darkness, and smile. We wouldn't be here right now like this. He trails his fingertips down my cheek until his thumb is brushing my lips. Oh, hi, getting romantic, huh? Oh, here we go, kissy CG, thank you. Then he leans down and presses his lips to mine. At first, it's a slow, sweet kiss, but then his hands travel down my back, drawing shudders up my spine as he pulls me closer to deepen the kiss. I know we're over, but there's like no good place to stop, so. It's a kiss I sink into, a breathless kiss I never want to surface from. When Rod finally pulls away, his cheeks are endearingly rosy, but the shock on his face. I've no doubt my own face looks the same way. I'm sorry. I laugh. It's a good thing the halls are so empty tonight. Suspiciously so. I hope no one was watching us. The thought makes me want to hide under my blankets forever. I shake my head. Don't apologize. I was very nice. Why are you looking at me like that? Rod clears his throat. Nothing. I'm glad you thought it was nice. The longer we stand there, the more awkward this becomes. Drag him to your room, girl. Rod coughs. We should get some sleep. It's a good idea. I reach out and take his hand. He walks me back to my room. We say our goodnights before parting for the night. Oh no, he should sleep in the room with you. Go. Pull him into your room when no one's looking! God damn it, girl. That's what you give him for his birthday. You're so proper. Anyway, this is now the good place to end, so I'm gonna stop here. I doubt, okay, because we're in chapter 4, we'll probably get into chapter 5, so we're still gonna have like 2 more parts, I would assume, like standard. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.